Well, I'm about 100 days in to the carnivore diet. I just got my labs back. I took labs at, I think it's 87 days, and we just got our labs back. And all of my biomarkers were better. My liver numbers were improved, and I wasn't really out of line there, but they still improved. My triglycerides improved greatly. I was well over 100 on my triglycerides last time. My glucose was at 100 last time. I mean, 100, that's a fasting glucose, and it's at 100. That was pretty high. And now my glucose was down significantly. It was somewhere in the 70s, or right around 80. And then my HDL was 92, and that was up pretty significantly. And so my triglycerides were at 82. So that was a less than 1-to-1 ratio, triglycerides to HDL. And that's good news, because that means my LDL is likely more large particle LDL than small dense LDL. And the new way of thinking is that makes a significant difference metabolically. And my LDL was 289. So that, in some people's opinion, would be really high. But that triad of the triglycerides to HDL to LDL matched up with the lean mass hyperresponder that Dave Feldman came up with his research. And there's actually a double-blind trial going on right now. It's halfway through. Basically, it completes in February on this exact phenotype. So the very phenotype that I am is being studied. And the preliminary numbers, the baseline numbers that came in on that study were so good that they're starting the second trial right now. So they're fundraising for that second trial. And so I'm going to be following Dave Feldman's work very closely, because it is completely relevant to me. Of course, my doctor is kind of freaking out. Your diet made your LDL high. Eat less red meat, yada, 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 yada. And I'm not going to. I'm going to go 6 months carnivore, and I'm not opposed to incorporating, keto vegetables. And in fact, I'm probably inclined to do fermented vegetables, and I'm probably going to ferment some in the interim here, and because that reportedly takes out some of the phytotoxins that are in some of our vegetables. And so I've kind of bought a couple things that will lend to that process of fermenting our own vegetables. Green beans ferment real well. Carrots, celery, cabbage, of course, sauerkraut, and cauliflower ferments well. Add a little calcium chloride, and you'll keep them crunchy too as a preservative. So some cool stuff you can do if you're consuming vegetables. But I want to go another 3 months at least full carnivore. And I do dairy. I don't have any inflammatory response to dairy. I don't do much liquid dairy. Very little milk, because milk has quite a bit of lactose. Although lactose doesn't process like regular sugar, So you usually don't get an insulin response from lactose. Some people are, resistant, or they react to the protein differently, and so that's the problem they have with they're almost allergic to the protein in milk. I am not, so I have no negative response from milk. But I do a little sweet cream, not sweet cream. It tastes sweet because I don't have any other sweeteners. But heavy whipping cream, so the really fatty stuff. And so at any rate, but I'm going to continue for 3 more months, because the first 3 months I was basically losing all my fat. And now I'm down. I can't get much leaner. I have probably five more pounds of subcutaneous fat that I could lose. And so, I figured the next 3 months will be a more accurate measuring of what my body will be like in this phenotype. And I'm feeling great. I'm feeling 10 years younger at least, maybe more. Probably like when I was 40, 36 to 40. That's how I feel right now. And I was in pretty good shape at 36 to 40. And nobody would have guessed me to be 40 years old when I was 40. Not many people guess me to be 58 now. So thank God for that. But my why, because you have to have a why to do this. My why is actually Joshua chapter 14, verses 6 to 12, approximately, where Caleb is talking to Joshua. And they're about to go back into the land. They've been in the wilderness for 40 some years. And they're getting ready to go back in. And Caleb says, I was 40 years old, when we were in the wilderness. And God has kept me alive these 45 years. And I am today what I was then. I am as strong today as I was then for going out to war. And yeah, incredible. Like at 85, he felt vigorous and strong, like he could go fight. And he even said, give me the giants. Give me those big guys. The one everyone was afraid of 40 years ago. And said, oh no, there's giants in the land. Give those guys to me, and perhaps God will let me drive them out. And so I like his attitude, and I like that he probably with specific intent stayed in shape. Maybe God blessed him according to his prayers, and kept him not only alive but fit all those years. But perhaps Caleb was thoughtful about what he fed himself, and maybe he ate a lot of lamb and a lot of beef and a lot of goat, and had kind of a carnivore, keto kind of diet. Because to be 85 and fit, and we have the potential to live 120 years. Even biblically it says, after the flood, man should be limited to 120 years. Well, if Caleb, I'm not sure how, I'd have to double check if there's a genealogy on how many years Caleb lived. But if he was that fit at age 84, or 85 actually, he could probably live to 120. So, and it is shown. I was just reading the book Metabolical. The aging process is kind of an oxidation type process. We're all oxidizing. We're all turning brown somewhere. And to the degree that we can slow that process, aging will be better. And so living cleanly, and a ketogenic diet is very clean. I mean, there's other diets that are pretty clean. But ketosis in particular, autophagy, the discarding of dying cells, that's autophagy. And autophagy occurs in ketosis much more readily than it does when you're burning carbohydrates. So that's something to think about, because the faster we get rid of bad cells, the healthier we are. I mean, cancer cells are basically dysfunctional mitochondria, and they're cells with dysfunctional mitochondria, and they stick around long enough to start mutating and growing rapidly. And maybe autophagy helps rid our body of those potential cancer cells. And so there's hypotheses out there that eating a ketogenic diet makes you less likely to acquire cancer. So I guess avoidance would be a good plan when it comes to cancer, because fighting it doesn't seem very fun. I know some folks that are doing that, and it looks tougher once you have it than before you have it, that's for sure. So I'm gonna stay with the status quo. I might start lifting some heavier weights. For my push-ups, I might put Lisa on my shoulder blades, and so I'll do push-ups with her on my back. I used to do that in high school wrestling. I was the heavyweight, and there was a 98-pounder that was this real muscle-bound 98-pounder, and he would sit on my shoulder blades and secure his legs around my legs, and then as I would push up, he would lay back over my head, and then as I would push up, as I would go down, he would sit up, and then when I pushed up, he'd lay back, and when I went down, he'd sit up. It's pretty good. I don't know if I can convince Lisa to do sit-ups while I do push-ups, but maybe. But she'll sit there, so that'll give me a pretty hearty push-up. She's not too heavy, but I got my weight too, so that'll be a pretty significant amount of weight together. Anyhow, she's at least half my weight, so that's well, not anymore. I think I shaved that ratio a little bit. I'm only 210. I've been 207 is my lowest, and so she's not half of 207, and she shouldn't be. So at any rate, so the carnivore diet is going great. My numbers are looking awesome. I'm not afraid of the high LDL. There's some people saying high LDL is good. So there's things that LDL does. LDL makes testosterone. Why is LDL called bad? Why is it called bad? If it makes testosterone, I mean, how could that be bad? No wonder people have low T. They're being encouraged to have LDL under 100. I feel like with my musculature right now that my T levels are probably higher. I don't think they took those numbers in my labs. I probably will the next time. I'm going to take labs in 30 days. So I'm going to set that appointment ahead of time and we'll be ready to go. So that's all this is going to be. Thanks for watching, and we'll keep you posted on this process. So far, so good. I'm feeling like $1 million. Game of trees. We're having fun, and I'm enjoying this ketosis lifestyle. Take care.